What is going on to all my movie fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, MovieFiles. We are here today to talk about the new Amazon Studio produced film directed by Ben Affleck, having a star-studded cast behind him. We're talking about Air. Now today I will be discussing why this is potentially one of my favorite films I've seen so far this year and why you all should give it a watch, all in today's review. But first, let's start the conversation in the comment section about this movie. Let me know if you liked it, loved it, or hated it, and if so, explain your reasons why. And a question for you all: have you ever owned a pair of Jordans? And if the answer is yes, what is your favorite pair? Let's have those conversations in the comments below. And of course, if you all appreciated my review today, consider hitting that like button, sharing today's video, and consider subscribing to the channel. So let's start off with a little bit of story time, and then we'll get into my thoughts of the film. So first and foremost, I was born and raised in Chicago up till I was around like 2021. I still go down and visit, and grew up playing basketball. So I say all that to say, yes, I know all about Michael Jeffrey Jordan with his professional career. I know about his life outside of basketball, but honestly, I didn't know much of anything about the origins of what this film focuses on, which is the creation of Air Jordans and the people behind the scenes at Nike courting the greatest athlete of all time. Now, I want to start this review off in a positive, and I want to talk about praising the director of this film, who was Ben Affleck, who to me, I've been following his career for a very long time, all the way dating back to Good Will Hunting with him and Matt Damon writing that script. But him as a director, I think about films like Gone Baby Gone, which is fantastic, The Town, which is one of my favorite films from him, the Academy Award winning Best Picture Argo, and then of course you have Live by Night, and all those films have brought him to this point of his career, and this job that he does behind the camera, to me this time around, is nothing short of incredible. The way Ben Affleck manages to keep the flow of this very simple premise that takes place mostly in office buildings, and even though this is really centered around getting Michael Jordan to sign with Nike, this isn't the traditional sports movie in that sense, but it still manages to be incredibly entertaining, riveting, engaging, and most of all, it made me care for our main characters. But I want to give the same amount of attention to the writer of this movie, who this appears to be their first major writing credit, and that's Alex Convery. Now, Alex, to me, his script had a great mixture of comedy, drama, great character monologues that made this movie so great and incredibly inspiring. But again, looking at the actual story in this film about creating one of the most popular shoes on earth and them signing Michael Jordan to Nike, to me, it kind of has the Succession vibe to it, which I love that show so much. And the reason I bring up Succession is you don't have to know about politics or stocks to really understand that show. And then correlating to this film, you don't have to be a basketball guru or have to know everything about Nike to really appreciate what the story has to offer. So again, Ben Affleck's direction and Alex's script is the perfect combination, because I was just floored by how they managed to keep me so engaged and focused on the story. And the fact that when you really look at it from a distance, this is a corporate entity in Nike, and they're somewhat the underdog of this story. And of course, you're following the people that have stakes in this company. So I was just really impressed by what they were able to do, again, from a directional standpoint and a script standpoint. But also, man, I want to give kudos to the casting director to bring this great cast together. I already mentioned Ben Affleck is the director, but he also plays a role in this film. He plays the CEO of Nike, who went by the name of Phil, and he kind of represents the character in the film that displays hope in our main character, Sonny, who's played by Matt Damon. Which, speaking of Matt Damon, the combination between those two, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they just make magic together. It's bulletproof at this point for me, because they are just great together. And just kind of focusing on Matt Damon, he was phenomenal in this movie. He plays Sonny, who's this basketball guru for Nike at the time, and he's also very responsible for a lot of other great things within the sport of basketball. But Sonny is just a perfect example of someone with the will and the dedication and the determination to follow their gut and willing to risk it all to make a game changer happen for the company of Nike. I love Matt Damon's performance. He was hilarious at points, but he also has some of the best moments of the film, especially without giving too much away. There's this kind of Hail Mary speech that he gives at the end that was just flooring. I mean, again, Matt Damon was absolutely fantastic, but we have other great characters in this film. I think of the supporting cast of like Ben Bateman, who I'm a big fan of. He's kind of the special sauce in this movie. He's the marketing supervisor who goes by the name of Rob, and he kind of represents the side of the story that he's one of those people that has a lot to lose in a situation. He has a family at home, a daughter to take care of, and if this deal doesn't fall through, he's going to lose everything. So he's kind of the heart of the film in that sense of there's stakes at mine, and it reminds you of that with his his particular character. And I can go on and on and on. You have Marlon Wayans, who has a small role in this film. Chris Tucker, my man. It's always so great to see Chris Tucker in films. He plays Howard, who's one of the executives at Nike. He's such a great guy. He has charm, he has charisma, and of course, it's Chris Tucker. He brings the laugh. So again, the cast is great, but I gotta talk about the GOAT, the legend, Viola Davis, who plays Dolores, who is Michael Jordan's mother. Now, she's only in a handful of scenes, but she steals every single frame that she's in. She shows just how important she was to Michael Jordan's career, and she's a strong woman, and she helps him make some really big decisions for his career and his legacy. So she is just steals every scene that she's in, and I wouldn't be surprised. I know she was kind of shafted when it came to the Academy Award nominations for Woman King, but I definitely could see potentially her getting nominated for Best Supporting Actress because she's just that great in the role. And also on that note, the whole Michael Jordan of it all and the use of Michael Jordan, he's really not in the film a lot. You don't really see too many scenes with him in there. They don't even really show you his face, but I'm actually okay with that decision because while it is about Michael Jordan, it's not the foundation and the focus of the story. So I will forewarn you all, any Michael Jordan fans out there, he's not the centerpiece of the film, but you still feel Michael Jordan's presence in the story. It almost creates this sense of like he was a mythical character. He was almost kind of not seen because it kind of created this sense of tension, how important he was to Nike. So again, he's not in it a lot, but I love the presence of Michael Jordan within his narratives. And just a couple more things before we get into my criticisms. I will point out that the film's pacing is excellent. I didn't even know this was under 2 hours. That's because I was just so focused on the narrative at hand. Not a single moment felt wasted. There wasn't a moment I wasn't interested in the story. The score was solid. The soundtrack of it all, of the 80s backdrop, was phenomenal. There's so many great needle drops within this film. And also, speaking of the 80s, the set designs, the clothes, the whole 80 influence of the film was really well woven into the film. It's just your quintessential feel-good, hopeful, grounded, inspirational story about believing in yourself and following your instincts, and also having others believing in you just as much to get the job done. So a lot of great things to say about the film, but I do have some criticisms. They're more or less kind of nitpicks that I have with the movie. I mentioned that you feel the stakes, especially from a character like Rob, who has a daughter that he takes care of and is like, that's her whole world, is her dad, and he gives her shoes and whatnot. So you feel the stakes, but I almost feel like the film could have put a bigger emphasis on these people losing their jobs, because at the beginning of the film, Phil's character, Ben Affleck, he mentions that he had to lay off a bunch of people. I would have liked to have seen maybe just one scene with him firing someone that's been with the company for a while, and you have Sonny, who's making all these risks and putting everyone's job in danger, have him in the room to kind of get that sense of urgency that if you don't get this job done, this is a representation, other than the Rob character I mentioned that Jason Bateman plays, but it just goes to show you that there's so many other people's lives at hand if he doesn't get the job done. So again, it doesn't hurt the film, but I would have loved to have seen maybe just one scene showing you someone getting fired, just to kind of give you that sense of drama within the story. So again, just a small nitpick, but I also want to mention, and I was kind of talking about this with a fellow critic after we were watching the film, and I definitely agree with them. I really enjoyed these characters, but I wish we would have they showed the whole corporate aspect of their jobs. They showed the whole basketball aspect of it, them signing Michael Jordan, but I would have loved to have seen outside of the office type of narratives. Again, Rob, we learn about his daughter, but besides Rob, I don't know if Sonny had a family, had kids, and when I look up Sonny and his whole, the actual real person, all you find is just basketball. He slept basketball, dreamed about basketball, recruited players in high school. So I would have loved to have seen maybe a little bit more backstory on Sonny. Again, did he have a family? Did he have kids? What is it that he goes home to? Because you see his home life in the film, and it pretty much, again, was just basketball. So I just would have liked to have gotten more context of not only the people at work, but what does their home life look like. It just would have added another layer of just context and just another layer of just like their personal story. So outside of that, only other nitpick I might have is, again, the stakes are there, but I wish that there was a little bit, it seemed a little too easy at points. Again, I know Ben Affleck was going for a feel-good, hopeful story, But in reality, it's a corporate entity and everything doesn't always work out. So I wish there was a little bit more consequences to characters' actions. Again, going back to Sonny, who risked it all. He even goes to the Jordan's house, which was a big no-no, but there was really no consequences for his actions. So I wish there were more obstacles at front to really kind of show you that it wasn't as easy as the film kind of makes it out to be. But again, those things didn't take away major things for me. It's just, again, little nitpicks that I have with the movie. But besides that, y'all, those are my main pros. Those are some of my criticisms. So before I give you all my score and my overall thoughts, if you stuck around to this point of review, I really appreciate you. Just a friendly reminder, if you're enjoying the content, hit the thumbs up, share the review, and consider subscribing to the channel. So overall, this wasn't a sports movie in a traditional sense, but has all the elements and the tropes that makes this simple story unique, inspiring, entertaining, and compelling. The direction, the writing, the performances all worked in sync, and they all complement each other perfectly. This was one of my favorite theatrical experiences so far this year because it's a perfect crowd pleaser of a film and has you leaving, or at least had me leaving in theater with a big old smile on my face, feeling good about myself, and has you thinking that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. So with that being said, I'm going to give Air a 4.8 out of 5, which makes this the highest rated film so far for me, which makes this my favorite movie of the year so far, which, just to kind of go back, if history repeats itself, around this same time last year, it was late March, mid-March, with my favorite movie that came out, which was Everything Everywhere All at Once, which happens to had won Best Picture. And hey, I'm not saying Air is going to win Best Picture. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets nominated for Best Picture. Also wouldn't be surprised if Ben Affleck gets a direction nomination, original screenplay nomination. And again, I mentioned Viola Davis, supporting cast member, and I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Damon might get some love. We'll see how that goes, but I really enjoyed this film, as you all can see. And to answer the question, is it worth checking out? Yes, I do recommend it. It gets the major stamp of approval from your boy MovieFiles. I love this film. So hey, that's my pros, that's my cons, that's my score, that's my overall thoughts. So again, I appreciate you all watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, like I said, hit the thumbs up, share the review, leave your thoughts in the comments about what you all thought about the film. And if you've owned a pair of Air Jordans, what is your favorite pair? And of course, if you guys haven't already, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Check out all my content that I have on the channel and all my reviews. We have our Super Mario review on the channel now, 1001. Any Succession fans out there, I got my breakdown from the most recent episode. So as you can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my other movie reviews so far from this year. Check out my most recent movie review, and we'll catch you all on the next breakdown.